And my wife used to get upset with me, Allah Shalom, and I would say, I'm not exactly prepared to know what to say until I see the audience in front of me. And her answer was, Yain, it doesn't sound nice. You shouldn't tell them you're unprepared. They'll think that you don't care about them. So I said, so what should I say? She says, tell them you learn all the time. And if you learn all the time, your problem is what not to say rather than what to say. So I have a problem of what not to say, but we are talking be'ikir about Avi Meiri, my dear beloved father, who did so much for so many over so many years. I was thinking, he used to like to say, and certain droshes, he would say, Zekeli vanvehu elokei ovi varimemenu. You know the Shabbosim, the Parshas, Shevim, Shmeis, Ve'era, B'y, B'shalach, Yisrael, Mishpotim. These are all interwoven. They're all related one to another until we finally come to Meleches HaMishkan. Because from the beginning of Shmeis to the end of Mishpotim, it's dealing with teaching us how to be B'nai Torah, to be part of Klal Yisrael, and to understand what Torah's Yisrael is all about. So beginning with this pasuk, Zekeli vanvehu lekei avi v'ramemenu, so Rashi adds one word if you remember, Elohei avi hu zeh. If you look in Rashi, you'll see that there's a little extra hu. And why does Rashi add that extra hu? Because he's putting it there to clarify what the Gemara in Shabbos says. Zekeli vanvehu, so the Gemara says, Esnai lefonov, lulav yofe sukkah. I'm going to quote, glorify, we translate it in English, Esnai lefonov, I'm going to glorify myself, which is absolutely incorrect, by showing off in front of Hashem Yisborach with a fancy lulav, with a fancy esrog, and you go to shul, and how much did you pay, and what did you get for your silver closet, what did you get for your silver chest? The pasuk doesn't mean this. Esnai lefonov means that I will try to make myself look perfect in the eyes of Hashem Yisborach, who created me. Elokei avi hu zeh. You can't change the image. You can't say that I have a minhag for my father like this, I have a minhag for my father like that. What happened at Kriyas Yamsuf, that was it. I mean, I have all kind of balabatim. I'm not an official rabbi anymore. I call it I'm a hobby rabbi. So you have a lot of chozer mitshuva, nice guys who say to me, I'm supposed to follow my father's minhag, but I don't have a father who was frum. So whose minhag should I follow? So I said, Shulchan Aruch, it's the best Rebbe in the world. I don't know of any other Rebbe. Shulchan Aruch, and if I'm a Bnei Ashkenaz, I follow the Ramah. So he says to me, but this, you know, it's like by Kiddush, it's a joke. Do you sit, do you stand, do you not sit, do you not stand? The Mishnah Berurah says one thing, the Aruch HaShulchan says another. It's like, you know, Nachum Davening, I'm sure you've all had this experience. If your Shemon Esrei is a long Shemon Esrei, and a father and a son or two brothers are davening together, they say Vayichulu with each other. I've never understood this. It's not even a Zecher LeMikdash. I don't want to say Zecher LeChurban, Chas v'Shalom. Because I'm a believer in Zecher LeMikdash, not the Churban. Because the Gemara was built that way, if you understand that, understand Gemara Siyum and so on. Because it's postulatus anyways. The whole thing is, but we do it, Mele. And by Chassidim is the Goran Inyan. And today many of us so far removed from what it says in Shulchan Aruch, or that even the Chofetz Chaim had to make a compromise of when to sit and when to stand. It's okay. But I realized when we say these words, Elokei Ovihu, so I have got to share with you some thoughts and ideas of my father, and I'd like you to realize something else. My sister Rivki is going to remember my father loved to say, Torah Chinoson mi Sinai, Torah as it was given at Sinai, Moshe Kibbutz Torah, Mesaru Lo Yeshua. But you know something? Moshe Rabbeinu also said, Elokei Ovi So he was talking about the office of Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yankov. So the Seder of Parashah Heintige Woch talks about Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. Why are we talking about the office? Because each one of the office understood Hashem Yisborach from a different perspective. It wasn't the same Rebbeinu Shalom. And I'm going to show you a Klayokar in a minute why there's a distinction. Because if Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were exactly the same in their understanding of who the Rebbeinu Shalom was, you wouldn't have to have a medrash, Omer Rab Simloi, Bo'u HaMinim V'Shalu, a group of non-believers, Minim Apikorsim, came to Rab Simloi and said, Harbi Elokus Yesh Lachem. There are many gods in your religion. Because the Pasuk says, Elohim. Lashon Rabim. Omer Rab Simloi, so Rab Simloi says, no. But from the bush it says, he spoke to them, it's Lashon Yochid. And other places it's Lashon Yochid, just the word Elohim is used, but Diber is Lashon Yochid. So Omer Rab, so the Talmidim said to Rab Simloi, you were doicher them with a koneh. What are you going to answer us? This is not Nishkin Guten Teretz. That over here it's Rabim, over here it's Yochid. So he says, let me tell you what it is. I'm going to teach you how to understand who the Rebbeinu Shalom is, what his voice is, and what his Torah is. Because the Rebbeinu Shalom, when he speaks b'koyach. If the Rebbeinu Shalom, according to the Medrash, would speak b'koyach HaGodol, you wouldn't hear him, you wouldn't understand him. That's why Kal Yisrael by Nesina Satira, they said to Moshe Rabbeinu, stop! We can't deal with it, get lost. Kol Hashem b'koyach. So Kol Hashem b'koyach doesn't work. So Kol Hashem b'koyach means b'koyach shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to be mitzamtzem his koyach on a level that every one of you can accept it. Therefore, yesh Torah liktanim, yesh Torah lizkenim, yesh Torah for special. And you look at the psukim, you look at the medrash, you'll see everybody on their own madrege. Now, if you remember, and I'm going to open a chumash for you in a second. We'll do this in Avenik. My dad used to like to learn in Avenik. We are taught, for example, V'holach Avraham l'darkoi. Avraham Avinu went on his way. Yitzchak holach l'suach basode. He went to daven mincha in the field. And by Yankov Avinu, steht by Yetze Yaakov mi Beersheva vayelech Harona. So all of us know the introduction. Yitzias Tzadik Oiseh Roshim. That's very nice. But what happened later? So we'll look at this together with you inside. One of the Perushim that he says is there's a difference. Maybe I can do it outside. It'll be faster because I got to keep it within the limit. He says, based on a Tanchume, Yesh Elu Sheholchim Eitzel Kalosom V'yesh Ilu Shekalosom Yoytze Lahem. There are those who go to find their Kale, and there are those to whom the Kale comes. So if you remember, Yitzchak Avinu went to daven mincha in the afternoon, and Rivka came along, and that started it. Yankov Avinu, Vayetzi Yaakov mi Beersheva vayelech Harona. So the Klayokar adds, not only Yitzias Tzadik Oiseh Roshim la'atzmai. He made a Roshim on himself because the Yitzia that he was there was for a purpose. He didn't holach l'darka like Avraham. He didn't go like his father on his merry way. He left home for a reason. He was going to find his Kale. So the kasha is, he was going to find his Kale. What did he do first? Holach el yeshiva shem be'even. He went and he sat and he learned Torah. How do you prepare yourself for a life of the future? How does a Ben Torah live his life? Not like Avram Avinu, Ben Sholosh Shonim he was birthday. Not like Yitzchak, who was ausgezeichnet. But and Yaakov Avinu, who was the Ish Tam Yeshiva Holim, was the most cunning of all the others. Because he went through more difficulty, more life problems than anybody else. Im Lovon Garti Vaycharti Adoto. I was Mekayim Torah, but I'm a brother to Lovon. If I need to be a Ganef, get a Ganef. But I'm a Ganef B'Shus HaTorah. There's an Afgemina. And I'll come back to this in a minute. You know, if you ever look in the Sefer Ur Yisrael, it's a wonderful Sefer, written by Rabbi Yisrael Salanta. I know guys in Yeshiva your age don't get there yet. But it's Kedai. It's very Kedai because in his last chapter, I can see the page in front of me. So on the right-hand side of the page, he says, in our communities where we live, everybody is Shemel Shabbos, everybody eats kosher, everybody's wife goes to mikveh, everybody is opgehitten in every din in the world. The only dinim they're not opgehitten, they're not careful, is dinei choshe mishpat. They don't learn choshe mishpat. He says, so I have a recommendation. They should devote their lives to learning Hilchos Gashmias first, learn choshe mishpat first, learn how to be a mensch. And if you learn how to be a mensch and interact with other people, then that little bit of neshama that's within you, that you're trying to feed with the Gemara, with the Tosfos, the Mashah, and the Rishonim, and the Achronim, will have a chance to begin to grow and to glow, that it will pierce through your insides to the point that you will have an implosion of Gashmias, and then you'll have an explosion of Ruchnias. It's Rabbi Yisrael, but I realize maybe he's a little bit too heavy duty for too many people. Yetze Yankiv goes, and he leaves. And he leaves his father, he leaves his mother, and he's going. The Chakash. When a Bacher goes away from home to a yeshiva, what does a Bacher do? You go for a zman to the yeshiva. You go for 2 zmanim to the yeshiva. But you can't wait for Ben Azmanim. Ben Azmanim is coming, I go home to my bed. Ben Azmanim is coming, I go home to mommy's kitchen. Ben Azmanim is coming. Life is different. The lesson of Yaakov Avinu is Vayetze. What was the Roshim? He left with a purpose. He left his father, he left his mother, he left his family. He was going out on his own. And then the Kleyoker says, but how do you go ahead and do such a thing? So he says that's why the Torah teaches Al Kain Yazev Ish Es Aviv V'imay. That's why a man leaves his father and mother. V'dovak B'ishtay. Who is your wife? Who is your Kale? This, the Oven Kodesh, the Sefer Torah, the Svarim. Your Rabbeim help you get there, and that's where you're supposed to go. So Vayetze Yankiv, he left with a reason. But if you leave home and you're planning and looking forward to go back every Shabbos off, which we didn't have in my time. That's why we don't have that many guys here, because it's a Shabbos off. I understand. I live with it. I can remember a Motler Gifter used to say, Ich verstehe das gar nicht. I don't understand it. Why are we giving the whole month of Elul off? He said, because in my time, Malin, we lived in Europe. So a Bacher was supposed to go home and help his parents prepare, clean. He says, today we live in America. Everybody's got extra dishes. Everybody's got dishwashers. Everybody has freezers. Was heißt helfen Tate Mame? You sleep in the morning. I don't want to translate this and you don't learn. He says, Ben Hazmanim is Ben Hazmanim. He says, how does one dare take a Ben Hazmanim time off from Limud HaTorah? Torah is your life's blood. I'll tell you, I was in Canada last week, and I was asked to speak at a bar mitzvah of a niece. So I like to speak last. It's sort of fun. Rabbi Kaufman understands why I like last. So it's a given Asach Rosh Yeshiva, and you had a mixture of Chabad and regular, because you got all kinds in Canada. And I asked, and I was there, Parsha Shabbos Vayechi, so I said Vayechi, so we've already gone through all the brachas. I said, even if you don't understand them, I said, but I'll tell you what, and this is homework for you guys if you want. If you ever want to learn something that's going to give you an insight in what Kedushas Nishmas Yisrael is, learn the Orach Chaim on the pasuk of Gur Aryeh Yehuda. It's a big, fat Orach Chaim. It's a full page. It's not the kind of thing that you can say, oh, I saw that. Like yahrtzeit Gifter used to say, I walked by and I heard the Bocher say, oh, you can gesehen dem Orach Chaim. I already saw this Orach Chaim. And he said, as a chutzpah von ein Gatsch, such chutzpah from a young man. He says, weiß wie viel Blut hat gezapft geworden von dem Chazon Ish. Do you know how much blood the Chazon Ish poured out to understand the words of this Reb Chaim? And you average bocher run around. And I remember him saying, wer hat Rashi? Who talks about Rashi? Rashi's bullshit. We all know Rashi. So yeah, you work on a Tosfos. So he says that I want to remind you what the Meiri says. The Meiri in his Hagdomeh to Ovis, if you look at it, it's worth looking at it, because I love his style a little bit. Why do I love his style? I have a little bit of a bad habit. I can't compare myself to him. But the Meiri starts, and as he starts, he begins with Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai, and he digresses all the way along, and then he says, Nachzor L'inyoneinu, until he comes after the Zman HaGeonim, and he comes to the Zman HaParshonim, who is Rashi, is the first Parshan. And he says, if I am Zeiche, from one word, Oneli Chavilos Kushos, bundles and bundles and packages of Torah, if I'm lucky, the Meiri is saying about himself, Arishin, maybe I'll understand what Rashi has to say. In a yeshiva today, that's gone. So I'm saying that's a good homework assignment for somebody to learn a Meiri one day. I don't mean a Meiri Afanot. Take his Hagdomeh to Torah, and you'll see what he writes about the Rambam and the Ramban and the Rashi. It's terrific. Here we're back again. He went on his own to accomplish a purpose. You leave your father, you leave your mother, yeshiva becomes your home. My father was that kind of a person. We know that at age 17, he left his house. My Zayd's wife passed away younger. He remarried. It wasn't the best thing for my dad. And he went to Cleveland, Ohio, where Rabbi Levenberg started really the first yeshiva in America, who then moved to New Haven. And my dad used to get up early in the morning at 4 o'clock to learn with a Chavrusa that he was going to have at 8 o'clock, so he should be prepared to learn with him. Azeidos. Here, I'd like to maybe tell you this also, and this is because I heard this medrash. I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to share it. I really owe it to Rabbi Kaufman. Many, many years ago, when Rav Hutner Zichron Levacha was sitting Shiva for his Rebbetzin, some person came to visit, offer words of comfort, and Rav Aaron Lichtenstein was there. I heard this from Rav Aaron, who was Gora Choshev and Gora Goy and Gora Tzaddik, though he was clean shaven. And he didn't fit the image of what we think a tzaddik and a goyen, and he was certainly one of the best talmidim in his young years, until he went elsewhere and he didn't stop learning Kol Yemei Chayo with his avonah. So this person was trying to be Menachem Rav Hutner, and he said a couple of silly things. So Rav Hutner said to him, "It's der verstehe ich klar, was steht in Medrash, Kol Talmid Chochem she'ein boi das nevela tove yimenu." Any Talmid Chochem that doesn't have das, that doesn't have understanding or wisdom, and speaks narishkeit and avela is better than him. So we'll share with you, if I may, that little bit. If you remember at the end of Shmois, it says, Vayachas ha'onon, the onon covered the Mikdash, and Moshe Rabbeinu didn't walk in. Lo yuchal, he couldn't walk. And the Mefarshim say, Misyored is a tanchum, and there's all explanations why he didn't walk in. Ultimately, what does Misyored mean? It doesn't mean that he was afraid. He wasn't petrified. He wasn't scared. We have the word yiro. Yiro means reverence. It means awe. It means derech eretz. And the Rabbeinu Bechaye, in his Hagdama to Vayikra, says in the last paragraph on the bottom, Lo hoya orev loi. It wasn't sweet and good for him to walk in lifnai v'lifnim lahakrit karbonos lehispalel v'ledaber l'Hashem. He wasn't going to play ball. He wasn't going to discuss the scores. He was going in to talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom. He's going to do all that special stuff. But it wasn't good enough. He didn't feel right. Ad shekaraloi. Until the Rebbeinu Shalom called him. We know that he had the right to go before. Pasuk says, I already promised. You can come whenever you want. The biggest Talmud Chacham we have, right? So I have to tell you something. The Pascal Sarne, in his Pirush a Union, because I remember I mentioned last year people should learn Mesilas Yesharim, Misvolzenish Geshat. So I hear now in the shul they learn Mesilas Yesharim at night. Well, I'm glad, it's a good thing. But in chapter 17, in Perek Tezayin, so he talks about in Yonei Gaivet. What is arrogance? What is conceit? What is thinking so much of oneself? And that's the hardest thing to get rid of. He says, what's the raya? He brings this medrash. And he says, from this medrash you learn the inyan of derech eretz kodmo la'Torah. He says you learn the special, this is a Slabotker line, so I know we're not in a Slabotker, but Rabutno doch gelernt in the Chever, and now doch gelernt by the mountain, is Mamele is a doch ja Slabotker, make me this, so it's permissible to say here. So he says, walk in, not walk in. Kod Malatira. What does he say derech eretz kod Malatira means? That Moshe Rabbeinu, who had every opportunity, he says, why? Because Nevele Toivehi Menuhi, who has wisdom and has understanding, because to have Das Teire, you have to be a Bar Das. We spend our life in this world, especially in the new generation, we send off to other communities to find a Rosh Yeshiva, to find a Rov, to Eretz Yisrael, to Brooklyn, to Borough Park. Sidor Abonim Hom Das Teire. I don't know how much Das Teire they have until I know how much Teire they have. Number one. And after they have Teire, they need to have common sense. Because this is what the Medrash is saying, that Moshe Rabbeinu had common sense. Moshe Rabbeinu was great not because he knew Kol HaTorah Kuleh, but he knew when not to put his 2 cents in. That's a very special thing. Not you pick up the phone and you call a Rov from somewhere else and you say, by uns in Stott, in our community, we have a problem. We little people need your help. We need your insight. Please teach us. It's very nice that you have that anibis, but you take that anibis and you put it on guys who don't deserve the anibis that you put on them. There's a nafkamina here too. You want to be an honor for yourself, be an honor. But I have to remind you, the Gemara Nedarim says, first, Giber, Oshir, Chacham, Ve'onor. You have to have all of these milas first, the Nun Dalet. Moshe Rabbeinu had every attribute. And after he achieved every one of those attributes, then he first was allowed to be considered an honor. And Rav Moshe once said to me, Der was geht mit der Kopf runter auf Habeit. He who walks on with his head bent down like this. Das ist nicht kein Onov. Das ist a chnyok. I can't translate chnyok into English, but you all know what that means. I was sitting in Ramesh's house, and he was saying to me, you want to grow? You want to become great? You want to have Torah? You want to have it? You have to become an Oshir. You have to become a Gibur. You have to have alle miles. He's the one who has a nivis more than anybody else. So I'll tell you quick, the base, in Kedushas Levi, he says, what does it mean? Why was he so great? Because everybody else, when they walk looking down, because we're on an honor get to chazeh. He says, so when you look down, whatever you see is below you. So whatever is below you is beneath you, and therefore less than you. And therefore you become big. Moshe Rabbeinu walked with his eyes heavenward, and he saw Malachim, he saw Rebbeinu Shalom, he saw Kedusha, he saw Tara. He said, boy, do I got a long way to go. This is what you have to feel when you come into a yeshiva. This is what you have to feel when you walk into a Rebbe, when you walk into a Beis Medrash, when you open a Sefer. This is when you spend your bull session time talking about who is a Godel and who's not a Godel. Believe me, unless they have this business, she'ein boi das. So what does he say? Very simple. He says in his Iyunim, Odom, hivish me'atzmui, a person begins to stink from himself because ein boi reach Torah. That's an expression you all know what that means. Somebody has the fragrance of Torah. There's something special. There's a special besomim that a Ben Yisrael should have. A special reach. That reach comes lifnai v'lifnim. But if I have the gaiva and I have the arrogance, hivish me'atzma, you begin to smell from yourself. And a nevela can't help itself. It's a dead animal. It's a natural course of events, so it's supposed to smell. So therefore, a Talmud Chacham who's a Bal Gaiva, he's worse because he becomes arrogant with his own smell and his own stink. That's a separate story. And I want to tell you for the fun of it, a piece of homework talking about Talmud Chacham. There's a very nice Maharsha I mentioned to Jonathan in the car. If you open a Gemara Shabbos and Daf Samach Aleph, so you know. No, actually, Samach Gimel. I'm sorry, Samach Gimel. I have a Gemara. I'm showing something else. So the Gemara in Samach Gimel talks about my minim bo umasmi'ilim bo, and you also have it in Peiches. That when you learn, you either go to the right or to the left. What does it mean? You go to the right, to the left. My minim bo zorderashi over here. You have hatzlachet. You learn l'shem shomayim, and you're able to understand, and you have schusim from the Torah. But if you're learning masmilim ba, bracha you may have, and even arichas yomim you might have, but Torah you're not going to have. What are you going to have? Chachmah. There's a problem when people take Torah and treat it as a chachmah. It's a problem. So I want to share with you a quick little Rashi, because as you see, I'm jumping around because my time is almost up, so my head has to keep, count of where I'm at. But on Pei Chesam and Beis, there's a Rashi which gives you the secret, if you wish, to Limud HaTorah, and to the secret, if you wish, of all Nigla and all Nister. And this should become the goal for every yeshiva bacher. So my meaning, I feel like it's 18 lines from the top, so I got to count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, it is line 17. I know, forgive me. This is Telzershtik. When I was a kid in Telz, the Yabach used to go to a bechine, and they would ask you a question. And then before they would ask the question, Rabbi Sorotskin used to say, Avosara daf, what daf is it on? On the top or on the bottom? And how many lines? Like that's making a difference. But I remember now, you'll count, you'll see it's 17 lines from the top. I said 18, the Maiminim, because it goes further. So Rashi says, what does it mean, Maiminim bo? Asukin b'chol koichom. When you sit and you learn, you are oisik b'teira, not loimdim b'teira, you're oiskim. It's a bigger matnaf kemina. B'chol koichom, with every ounce of your energy. Uterudim lodas, and you become torud in your asik to know what? Seido, to know its mysteries, its secrets. Like a person who is a righty and he uses his right hand because that's his strength. So what Rashi is telling you, there is no Teiras Nigle, there is no Teiras Nister. Teiras Nister is Bereshis Bara Elokim if you don't know Pshat. And if you take a 5-year-old and you'll say to the 5-year-old, Beruach Elokim erachefes al pnei hamoyim, the Spirit of God hovers over the face of the water. What the heck does the word hover mean? Today we know there's a hover that they use in war. So maybe the kids know it in news. But it's like, hover? So Bereshis is Nister to a little boy. Shas that you haven't learned is Nister. But it's not two Teiras. The Rebbeinu Shalom has one Teira, and that's what Rashi is saying here. Oisek v'torud, spend your time. Become like Yaakov Avinu. He made an impression upon himself. Yes, my father was here many, many years ago. And I think he was a tzaddik. Rabbi Jonah Gewirtz, whose yahrtzeit was this past week, was here even more years before. They made a roshim. But a roshim is not made after you leave, not b'yitziyosom. The roshim is made while you're here. So you live in Waterbury now. Begin to make a roshim, so that when the time comes, we'll say about you, Yitzias Tzadik Oisei Roshim. And the only way that is going to happen, Vayetze Yaakov miBeersheva, Vayelech Chorono, he went. And I'll wrap you up with one line of what my father used to like to say. Yaakov Avinu got up in the morning and he said, Ein ze ki'im beis Elokim. And he would quote the Sipurno. Rivka, you'll remember this one, you will. Daddy used to say, what does the Sipurno say? Ilu ha'yisi yodea ha'yisi meichin es atzmi. If I knew that this was the Beis Hashem, I would have prepared myself. Prepared himself. He just spent 14 years in Shem Be'eva. He went to sleep on the rocks. They all fought. So Chazal say, what does he mean, meichin? It's more choshev to mekabel pnei hashchina with your eyes open than with your eyes closed. So when you come to the Beis Medrash and you'll hear divrei Torah or divrei Hisayrus, don't put your head on your arms on your shtender like I remember Bochum doing during Musar Seder or during Chumash class, because boys used to say Chumash, nach, that's batolet. I'm telling you, now we can say Ze Elokei Ovi Hu. It cannot change from Yitzias Mitzrayim till now, and I want to express my unique thanks to your Reish HaYeshiva, to Adonil, the Manal, for making it possible that this town should have what it has. And any of you Chaver who think you're lacking, Mimcho harochik, from you it's far away. Torah is not chochik from anybody, Chazal say. Leirechokehi mimeno. Because you haven't gotten to the Madregi yet. I hope and pray that next year at this time I come back to a full Beis Medrash, not for my ego. I proved already to you guys I know how to yell. I proved to you guys I got bikiyas. I proved to you all the shtick. Okay, I did the whole show. But what I didn't prove to you is Ahavas Torah, because that's a hard thing to have. So I'm mispalel for every one of you. Become like this Rashi. Oisik v'torud lilmoid esoida. Thank you very much.